not literally, but it's going to be you're in there for a long haul at the end of the day. And as far as an actionable piece of advice, one of the things that Chelsea and I did very early on that I think was a pretty nice exercise. We took like an IMAP assessment, basically saying how after you answered dozens or hundreds of questions, you end up having an assessment of your personality that is based on sort of a work environment. And if both of you do that, you end up being able to have conversations that are insightful about how you can approach different conflicts, how you can approach just day-to-day conversations. Chelsea and I had the pleasure of doing that through the TechStars program and very early on, and I think to this day we're reaping the benefits of those conversations.
Well said. So I'm how do I say this? Let me be very clear. So I'm smelling a conflict. Maybe you guys hired somebody wrong, and you guys learned from it. Is that something happened or no?
No, actually, not
Not
at all.
really, right? Because what happened, this type of conversation, like, okay, we made a mistake, we hired somebody with his resume, but that resume is not him. So did you guys do anything like that yet or no?
Not in FundMiner, but I will say that it has happened in a prior job, and I do have PTSD from that, and forever am very particular now about working with awesome people
Okay, so
beyond the
I
resume.
would like to add, I am a victim of that. I hired somebody who's in a different time zone, and he promised that he's gonna deliver the job, but every
Well, Hassan, thanks for having us today. We're excited to talk to you about FundMiner. FundMiner is a software platform for large fundraising organizations. We aggregate data for them from siloed systems like their CRM, their accounting system, their student awards system, and we automate traditionally manual processes for them to help them measure, maximize, and communicate their social impact. So we really focus on also helping them make sure that they're honoring donor intent and staying compliant with regulations and with donor agreements. We save them time so they can focus on fundraising more money and ultimately to help them better meet their missions. We founded FundMiner in late 2022, and I'm excited to share today that we have just raised our first round of 1.7 million.
Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. So 1.7 million. So as I researched a little bit, you guys took that money from three VCs. One is TechStars, another one is Founders Fund, but not the Founders Fund that Peter Thiel owns. Another Founder Fund, if I'm not wrong. And those are three, right?
The North Founders Fund.
Yes, right, right.
Yes. So primarily, so Sonoran Founders Fund led our round. We also had participation from TechStars. We completed the TechStars Accelerator this past winter. We were in the Boulder winter cohort, and then Cascade Seed Fund as well. And we also had participation from several angels and a strategic investor as well.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to talk about a little bit about just fundraising process? How hard was it? Or I can see you guys just started in 2022. You guys are pretty lucky, raised a pretty good amount of fund. I mean, give me the journey because I'd like to put some value in this video that some co-founder might gonna see this video or maybe early stage VCs. I just want them to give I just want them to feel like okay, this is how it feels like. So please.
Yeah, so I will give my perspective and curious to hear Alejandro's on this too. But ultimately, there was a lot of ups and downs, and it all comes down to, I think, persistence at the end of the day. We did sort of get through founding to fundraising and product in market fairly quick. We, as I mentioned, launched FundMiner almost a year ago. And our MVP was created in my previous job. And so we had a little bit of a head start on kind of, identifying the need and getting an MVP out there and getting that one tested. And so when I really decided to take the leap and found the company, I was really fortunate to connect with Alejandro quickly and have his technical expertise handy, and he's been an amazing partner since then. And at the same time, when Alejandro was onboarding into FundMiner and we were just getting it off the ground, we were also completing the tech transfer with UTEP. Around that time, we started the fundraising process. I was learning about what venture capital is and how much money would we need and what to do and what were our goals and what did projections look like. And so I think it was a lot of just every day, persisting to learn more, be better, set goals, push, meet new people, get advice, and just kind of push and push and push. The fundraising process has had, some wins. There were certainly some downs as well. It is a challenge, and there were a lot of no's. But I think that anytime we understood that there was something investors were looking for that we weren't covering previously, we made sure to cover that going forward. And so I think that one thing that was successful for Alejandro and I specifically was making sure we were kind of checking the boxes and understanding what the market was looking for and what the investors we were talking to were looking for.
Yeah, I would just like to add to what Chelsea mentioned. The important point also is Chelsea and I are first-time founders, first-time tech founders. So there's a lot of things that we didn't know, and then as Chelsea mentioned, there's a lot of things that we found out as on the go. There's a beauty in that, but there was definitely some stressful situations wherein we just didn't know what was the best course, if we should go left or we should go right. And we were very lucky to, be exposed to a lot of different kinds of people with different backgrounds that we could ask their opinion. And after we get, good amount of information, then we just made some calls, right? But I think the key thing here was knowing that it's a numbers game. You're going to have a lot of no's, as Chelsea mentioned, but the important thing is to find out why you're getting these no's, and then just iterate. And after long, you're going to get some yeses that end up accumulating.
Yeah, that all matters. Like there will be 20 no's, but you only need one yes. And how did you guys like the venture capital learning journey, the way they talk, like seed funding, pre-seed, post-money valuation, CAC, and stuff like that? What was the learning curve like? Understanding the venture capital game, like asking for the money or pitch deck. How was it?
Great question. So I think before the fundraising journey, if you would have asked me, I studied business in undergrad and got an MBA, and I would have thought like, I get it, right? Like I got this. And I remember like looking at one spreadsheet and like somebody mentioning, well, how many shares and what's the price per share? And I realized like, oh my God, like this is a whole other ball game, and I have a lot to learn. And that was kind of stressful for me because I felt like there was a lot riding on all of those decisions, and that every little decision was going to affect our entire future, and not just ours, but it's going to affect what investors we attract and who wants to invest and our partners and everything. And so I did find it sort of stressful and difficult to learn, but I also felt very supported and felt really fortunate to have a network of mentors and people that I knew I trusted and could go to one, explain it to me, and hopefully I could, follow along. And there were certainly some times where they explained and I was still scratching my head a little bit. But then at the end of the day, I knew like these are people I deeply trusted too. And so even if I didn't 100% understand it, I trusted like their direction and help in the situation. And so that was sort of comforting or helpful to me in that period of learning. And now looking back, I still have a lot to learn, but I think that's actually it was a really, really like fun experience. And I'm glad that I learned all of that.
Alejandro, you want to add anything?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest things for sure with all of these terms, and you mentioned Hassan, the pre-seed, the Series A, the COG, especially many of the terms that are nomenclature in the industry. One big realization is that they are just terms at the end of the day, and whether you're raising a fund, a round, I mean, and that round is your pre-seed or your seed, or you want to call it Series Unicorn, whatever. It's on you. It's whatever you do with that money that counts. So there's also a lot of terms and a lot of nomenclature that I wouldn't put as a requirement to know. At the end of the day, we got to be practical. We cannot know everything, but if we know what matters and realize have a maturity that these are just abstractions that are created like in any other industry, you can just move forward with it.
Perfect. So in life, you don't have to know everything. All you need is like whatever works for you and make it happen. So the following question is how you guys are trying to use the fund. Like what's the plan on using the fund? If you guys don't mind, any of you guys can start.
Sure, I can go ahead and get started, and then Chelsea can add to it. So these 1.7 million in fund, it'll be mostly used to increase our fund miner team and increase our talent development across very strategic points within fund miner. The first is in product, and we've got sales and we've got marketing. I can talk about the first one on product, and Chelsea can tackle some of the rest. But as far as product and technology, Hassan, we're creating a world-class team that can help us create a state-of-the-art web application that is not only the perfect product for the specific pain points that we're strategically solving for, but we're also leveraging some fairly new technologies, including but not limited to artificial intelligence, which of course is my background, my professional background before FundMiner. So I'm excited to tap into those skills as well for the benefit of our customers. And those things don't come easily, and we need to find the right talent, and that's a big part of our funding.
Chelsea, you want to add anything, please?
Yeah, I would just add to that from like a very high level, I think we're using the funding to grow the company, and that really means making sales and growing our team responsibly, and making sure we're hiring top talent who really have a growth mindset and want to grow with the company. But also, of course, getting out there in the market and expanding our reach, getting more customers, and serving more of the fundraising and advancement industry.
Awesome. So I would like to ask you one question about, if you can answer, it's fine. If you cannot answer that, I do understand there's something that you can't talk about. Now, how many clients do you have at this moment? Or maybe approximate. You don't have to come up with the right number if you cannot say it. I do respect that. So how many clients do you have? And if you can name some of the clients, if not, that's totally understandable.
Yeah, so we're really new in market. We went to market in March of 2023. So while we founded the company initially, we did go through a planning phase. We realized early on that we were going to go the VC route and not bootstrap. Alejandro and I made that decision from a very early on in the process, and so that really kind of showed us like our direction was planning initially. We took some time also to completely, and Alejandro can add to this, but completely redesign our platform. Really look at the market. We did a ton of research and discovery too, and so we took the time to talk to dozens and dozens of folks within the advancement and fundraising industry, and in different types of nonprofits too, to really explore like, do we have the right product in market? Are we solving the right challenges? Are we talking to the right people? Are we messaging things the right way? We also started to develop some of our marketing and sales assets and processes. We then also got into Techstars, which was a big sort of catalyst for us in this early go-to-market process. So when we decided to sort of go to market in March, it was just the natural time that made sense. Since then, we are riding on 3 customers now with a pretty strong pipeline. And so we're hoping that now is really that point where we start to see our sales accelerate. So it's exciting. We see sales traction, from a week to week. Maybe a month ago we were booking 2 or 3 demos in a month, and now we're seeing 8 in a week. And so we are definitely seeing a nice trend from that perspective.
Awesome. So I would like to ask you another question after this, which is I feel like this is it's a trailing question, you can say. So what are the challenges that you guys felt and feeling right now, not for fundraising, building a company, or talk a little bit about your competitors if you can.
I think as far as just general challenges with kind of where we are in our stage, I always think of this sort of paradox that everything feels like it's happening really fast and not fast enough at the same time. When I look back on a week or 2 weeks or even a month ago, we've accomplished an incredible amount. Day to day, we are so driven and have such big goals that we want to sort of leap forward as quickly as possible, tomorrow if we can. And so I think that a challenge is, you have a set amount of time and resources, financially, time, bandwidth, brain power, and it's, what can you prioritize at any given moment to sort of extract the highest value and get forward and toward those goals and those sales goals and growth goals as quickly as possible, but also responsibly at the same time. So I find, one of my day-to-day struggles is just sort of juggling all the things I want to accomplish within the time that I have and the resources that are available.
So how's the work-life balance working? I know it's a funny question now, but since you're a co-founder, I know work-life balance is never the same. It's pretty hard in the first. Since you're a co-founder, it's always hard until you quit. But how's the work-life balance going on? Be honest.
I'm not going to lie, it's a lot. But I think I've always been one to probably always work a lot of hours. And I think the difference with this work is I find it to be particularly rewarding and I'm extra passionate about it. And so even times when I might not need to work, if it's a weekend, I still might choose to work to get ahead. Early bird gets the worm type of thing. It goes back earlier. Like there's just endless amount of work we can do to propel forward faster. Going back to like the grow responsibly piece, I think that we are, Alejandro and I both are very aware of burnout and careful, and we both also respect personal time. And so recently I took vacation and I was gone for 6 days and I took a couple calls, but I definitely checked out, and it was really refreshing. I felt recharged and had a bunch of ideas after. And so it's just, finding what works for you. Sometimes I work evenings, sometimes I don't because I feel too tired. I definitely am working, regular all days, but I do find also that when you feel this passionate, it doesn't always feel like work because you're also excited about it. But curious about what you think, Alejandro.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, I totally get what Chelsea's saying. One of the terms I've heard in the past, and I sort of like it whenever folks talk about work-life balance, is work-life harmony as opposed to work-life balance. That just to me makes it more clear on the point that I'm about to make, which is like everyone's got their different harmonies. Chelsea might like to work in the evenings, and because that's when she gets more ideas or more head down space, whatever. And many people have different sort of work life where they draw the lines, or even if the lines are super blurry. I think us in FundMiner, we just want to make sure that we find the people that are as driven as us as a co-founders, and for them to be able to set the right priorities and just execute on those priorities effectively. And at the end of the day, whether they take a 4-week or like a 2-week vacation at the end of the year, or spread them apart across the year, that whatever works for them.
Perfect. You guys are not one of those like early 20s or late teens, so you guys know what to prioritize and take care of the health, sleep properly. Yeah. So when I started my company, I was like late 20s. I would say late 20s or mid to late 20s. So at some point, I felt like burnout. I never listened to some of those elders who talked about it, like, "Hey, you should take a break." I'm like, "No, I can work 18 hours, so I should do it." But you cannot go far with that, and I understand that. The answer was pretty good. I was expecting something little weird, but yeah, you guys are taking health serious, and yeah, Chelsea, if you want to add something, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I will also say, like, there's been times when I just say, today I'm going to do something for myself and like go on a walk, or take my last call on a walk or something. And like, it's often in those moments when I have like I think they're great. They may or may not be, but where I have these ideas or new thoughts or things. And so I think that, doing all that for yourself really kind of helps the brain regenerate, and just having that break sometimes can actually be more productive at the end of the day.
Awesome. So you guys are El Paso based, right? You guys are living in El Paso, both of you guys? So
we are.
Okay. How many times of a week you guys meet though in person?
It's funny because we have a lot of Zoom meetings throughout the day, and so sometimes it sort of feels like, well, we're going to be, in Zoom meetings all day. We may as well work from, our both preferred locations, or I have a home office, so it's easy for me. That being said, what we like to do is actually block out intentional time to work on strategy or our product roadmap, or go back to our sales and operating plan. We'll kind of use that time more intentional to knock out some more like kind of, planning things, and really spend some more thoughtful time together as founders. And then also like blocking out some time to do fun things together too.
Right. So the question came from it's a post-COVID question, like how many times do you guys meet? So that's why I asked, like, if it was before
I would say
2020, I wouldn't ask right.
I do think it's an important question, Hassan. I would say about once every couple of weeks is when we have those intentional meetings. Of course, the cadence might increase if there's conferences going on, which advancement conferences are fairly big in our industry, and we're getting to attend them and sponsor them more and more now. So, of course, those are mostly in person.
Of course, that's great. So since you guys said you guys maybe were planning for Bootstrap, but you guys changed your mind. So after changing your mind, you take the VC money. So can you tell me very little about the process? Like, okay, we are not gonna bootstrap. We're gonna take the VC money. How is it? Like, is this just the money or the advice from VCs? I mean, from my perspective, the VCs are not the person who just give the money. They also give you very good advice towards the business, because they have handling this type of business a lot. So can you tell very little about the journey and bootstrapping a little bit and taking the VC money, the advice that you guys got from VCs? It would be helpful.
Yeah, great question. So it's not so much that we changed our minds. It was just that very early on, it was very clear to me that that was how I was going to be able to make this work for me personally. And I think I'll let Alejandro speak for himself in a moment, but I believe, it was just the same for him. Like, it was just what made sense for us for this to work and for us to be able to comfortably pursue it. And when I say comfort, I'm not talking about I'm talking about comfort of okay, I have a mortgage and I have to be able to continue affording my mortgage. And I don't have the option right now of moving back into my, parents' home to save money so that I can bootstrap, etc. And so it was just that it was very apparent very early on that we needed to take investment money for this to work. And then I think, I was fortunate to have great mentors early on who helped me, understand how it worked. As far as bootstrapping goes, it also was apparent early on that what I could, spend out of pocket was going to go by quickly, especially with some of the early formation and legal fees. And we did have to do a tech transfer, so a little bit of higher legal fees early on. So it was just the path, I think.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think there's some, this is my opinion, of course, there's some industries and products therein that lend themselves more towards a bootstrapping solution, particularly perhaps B2C, maybe some even B2Bs as well. But for us, each of our clients is a large, fundraising institution. And their standards are high. They should be high when it comes to buying a software product from the market, right? And having this product is not something that one can easily do in a garage for a couple of weeks and then just put it out there, right? Even from a product standpoint alone, you need security certifications, you need the right team that handles the right set of technologies, and all of that takes a lot of effort and brain power. So I think the barrier of entry of our particular industry, for very good reasons, is a high barrier of entry, and of course the VC money helps us skyrocket and make sure we fill in those requirements and we just go to market as soon as possible.
Awesome. So okay, I came up with another question, which is I was just thinking about it, how should I ask this question? So let's say I'm a potential customer for yours, right? So can you just tell me how do I use the platform as a maybe non-profit or for-profit? It's a fund related to fundraising. So how do I use? Give me a use case, very simple use case. Any of you guys?
Yeah, so I'm happy to take this. So if we're particularly selling to large fundraising organizations, at least in the shorter term. And so think universities, colleges, community foundations, academic medical centers. And these large fundraising organizations are going to be raising money into thousands of funds that all have unique restricted purposes. So an example of that might be a scholarship that's restricted to a college of business for entrepreneurship students with a 3.5 GPA. And maybe another one of those 2,000 funds is a research fund that can go to diabetes research. And so with thousands of funds, you also have hundreds of people across the organization who are actually responsible for spending the money. They need to know when to spend it too. There may be different restrictions on the award amounts and when to spend the money. They're going to all be within different departments. There's different processes for spending different types of money. And so the complexity and challenges really lie there, and I almost forgot to mention that there's typically about 4 to 5 siloed systems involved across the organization that store critical pieces of information on these funds. So think your CRM system that is going to be storing donor information on specific gifts and donations, and the funds and specific criteria and restrictions on those funds. Then the organization is going to have an accounting system that will have the available balance, the expenses, any revenue that's come in. You'll have maybe a student award system or some other recipient application and award tracking system. You might have a document storage system. If some of your funds are invested in the market, you'll also have some investment reporting as well. So the complexity you can imagine is all of this information from all these systems with hundreds of people and thousands of funds. And we're really the bridge in the middle of that, the platform that bridges all of that information for all those people. So a use case might be you being the Dean of College of Business and it's scholarship awarding time. So you're going to log into our platform and see all 100 of your funds. You can filter by which ones are scholarships. You know your scholarship awarding deadline is coming up. Maybe you're looking for some funding for entrepreneurship students. So you're using our platform to search the keyword entrepreneurship within your funds. Then you need to know your balance, which we've got handy, and the agreement and restrictions are all there. And we will allow you to, or facilitate you, if, being aware of that information and using those funds. We also have a compliance monitoring feature as well. And so with this, we are ensuring that no funds are accidentally overlooked or not awarded, because these organizations really want to make sure that, for example, if they have scholarship money, they're using all that scholarship money.
Okay, that was a great answer. I hope these answers will help somebody who's watching this video, or maybe later if you guys want to raise any fund, any VCs, they can see they don't have to ask you question about what you guys are doing, and they can see that. Is there anything you are welcome. So if there anything that I'm missing, can you guys want to add, like if I'm missing any question, any potential question or anything, if you guys want to talk about, please go for it.
Alejandro, do you have anything specific that comes to mind we didn't mention?
One of the things we did touch upon, but it might be a good idea to have like a full-fledged answer to this, is on our go-to-market. Chelsea, you mentioned briefly how we're targeting larger fundraising organizations at the beginning, but how that strategy evolves over time and as we iterate. I think that would be useful for the audience.
Agree.
Okay, cool. So any advice for co-founders, both of you guys? Any advice?
That's a good one. I think I feel really lucky when it comes to co-founder relationship. I like to joke that it's because our birthdays are really close together and we're both Aquarius. But all jokes aside, I think like Alejandro and I have had a very honest, transparent, kind, very well-intentioned work relationship and friendship from the start, and I think that we're both good at sort of staying true to that. And so, as far as advice goes, I think stay communicative and open, because it is, you spend a lot of time with them, and it's I think just like family, it's someone who you're going to get really close with and is going to know you more than most people, and see your good days, your bad days, your weird days, your like unexplainable days, who knows? And so I think like above all, staying communicative and, kind and honest and well-intentioned will just go a long way, and always going back to those values.
Yeah. I'll add to that one sort of overarching statement, and the second is going to be a bit more actionable for any potential founders out there. For the first one, on the overarching statement, and very tied to what Chelsea just mentioned, don't settle when it comes to finding a co-founder. Don't think that a co-founder is just a checkbox of skills. You are signing up for the entire person. So even if they bring their A games because they're former VP of sales and they are absolutely killing it at sales, but you don't really mix with them personality-wise or in any other fashion, think twice about partnering with them, just simply because, as Chelsea mentioned, they're going to be your partners in crime, not literally, but it's going to be you're in there for a long haul at the end of the day. And as far as an actionable piece of advice, one of the things that Chelsea and I did very early on that I think was a pretty nice exercise. We took like an IMAP assessment, basically saying how after you answered dozens or hundreds of questions, you end up having an assessment of your personality that is based on sort of a work environment. And if both of you do that, you end up being able to have conversations that are insightful about how you can approach different conflicts, how you can approach just day-to-day conversations. Chelsea and I had the pleasure of doing that through the Techstars program and very early on, and I think to this day we're reaping the benefits of those conversations.
Well said. So I'm how do I say this? Let me be very clear. So I'm smelling a conflict. Maybe you guys hired somebody wrong, and you guys learned from it. Is that something happened or no?
No, actually,
not really, right? Because what happened? This type of conversation, like, okay, we made a mistake. We hired somebody with his resume, but that resume is not him. So did you guys do anything like that yet or no?
Not in FundMiner, but I will say that it has happened in a prior job, and I do have PTSD from that, and forever am very particular now about working with awesome people.
Okay, so
beyond the resume.
I would like to add, I am a victim of that. I hired somebody who's in a different time zone, and he promised that he's gonna deliver the job, but every time my team tried to reach them, he's in sleep, and he's not a bad guy, but he's not a good fit for the company, or for somebody who lives in New York, right? So it was a bad hire, and I did not listen to my people, and I made a mistake. I'm never gonna do that ever again. I'll try to hire somebody in the same time zone. That's for sure. It's really important.
We actually have, and I think this was Alejandro's brilliancy, but we have a rule that they have to be plus or minus 2 time zones away. Like, we can deal with a 2-hour difference.
Which
but
we are right
that,
now. You are MTM EST, right? 2 hours. It's
exactly.
Yeah. For what time is it? It's 4:42, but it's 2:42 there, maybe, right?
Yes, El Paso is the only Texas city on Mountain Time.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I have seen all these, cards behind you. It's poster or card, how do I call it? But these are all pretty. And then I realized, oh, everything says El Paso. Everywhere there is El Paso there.
Representing.
Okay. I think we are pretty much done for today. You guys answered all my questions. Even some of them were maybe not expected, but hopefully we both did good. What do you think, Alejandro?
Had a great time, Hassan. Thanks for your questions and also sharing your personal experiences throughout the interview. It was awesome.
Sure. Just lastly, I have seen one job posting. Do you guys want to talk about it? I hope somebody's gonna get job from there. What if, right? So there's a job posting I have seen. It's about community manager or something like that, if I'm not wrong. That's one job posting I found.
So we have an account executive job posted currently. So we're looking for someone to help in a sales role. It would be our first sales hire. And we've just started the process. I think it's been posted for, I want to say a week, but it might actually be less than a week. And we're really enthusiastic about finding someone who either or a combination of having sales experience or fundraising and advancement experience.
Okay, awesome. So being said that, thank you very much, both of you guys. Thanks for the time. And I wish you guys all the best. And for the next funding or any other news, reach me out and maybe someday we'll talk again.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Hassan. It was so great to meet you.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Thanks. Bye.